So what I'm going to talk about today is about where technology was, where it is now, and probably try and see where it's going to be. And I'm starting with a slide which shows some huge monster there. I'm sure many of you would recognize this. How many of you would recognize this? Hands raised, whoever has recognized. I see some hands there. So have you seen it in a movie or have you seen it in reality? In a movie, right? Alan Turing. Now if I ask anybody who's read very well in your, who's very good at their academics, who's the creator of the first computer? Charles Babbage, right? Now that's what you have learned in textbooks. I wouldn't go against that as a knowledge, but for all practical purposes, a huge computer has been created with a computing logic by somebody called Alan Turing, and he created something called a Turing machine. Now what happens in this machine, I would rather suggest you go watch the movie. It's an awesome movie. And more important than the movie is that you should go and search for Turing machine or designing of Turing machine on YouTube, and there are tons of videos which explain the logic behind the Turing machine, which is probably the basis for the first computing. This was used obviously for defense, and most of the technologies come from research in defense. Now this is really history. I said, Kal Aaj or Kal. I'm really talking about way beyond Kal. It's not yesterday. It's like way far away. And this guy passed away in 1954. Incidentally, the word technology they say officially was started only at that time when he passed away. In the 1950s is when the term technology was actually used for anything related to what we do today. Now if you see, one of the most important things written here is that he is father of computer science, okay. This is actually his plaque on his grave. He's a mathematician, he's a logician. Some of the core principles required to be a technologist is that you're a mathematician and you're a logician. A logical person, yes, but a logician too. Now I don't want to go beyond history in terms of starting with Turing, then what happened. I would rather go with my own life and say I finished my, one of my first jobs was selling IT equipment in Bangalore. And this was the first webcam, Connectix, which was purchased by the Software Technology Parks of India in Bangalore. That was the STPI Bangalore was one of the first departments started by the government to encourage IT in the country. And this cam, we got it, we installed it. I was there along with the engineers. Sat till like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night in the STPI facility, connected it, and we could only get it to the extent of hearing the voice of some stranger from some country. We could not still, from STPI, which is the hub of internet connectivity in the country at that time, the largest pipe possible of internet landed there. We could only send voice. And that too was breaking, and it got disconnected, and several things happened. But I was pretty excited to be part of the first webcam installation at that time. And then I did several things and then went to the US. And this is probably the screen every guy who went to the US. And you'll have all your cousins, uncles, aunts who have gone to the US. They would have seen this screen for millions of times when they were trying to connect to the internet. So one of the first projects that I had done in the year 99, 2000 was this thing, which was called the OBD. It is called the Onboard Diagnostics box, which connects into a car and gives out data that the car is giving you, saying that, I'm not okay, I'm okay, kind of data. It actually used to give a lot of this data, but nobody really captured that data. So what we did is took this box, plugged it into the car, and already some people had done that before, but what we did at that time was that took that data from this device, did a Bluetooth connection, sent it to another box, and from there did a cell phone call and let somebody know that the data is not right and the car may not run after, say, 20 miles, and it will stop somewhere, so inform the driver. This was in about 16 years back. And then we thought, wow, we hit a gold mine here and we are the best technologists in the world. And we started planning our project to finance this, do something about it. I had geeks in my team who could get very excited with this. And then what happened? I think it was BMW. In 6 months, BMW announced a company called OnStar. And they had figured this out. Not only figured this out, but they rolled it out across major states in the US. They had a call center behind which gets the message whenever the car is not okay. And they used to call up the driver, the owner of the BMW, and say, sir, your car is not doing okay, take the next exit, go to the service shop, we'll take care of it. 6 months. Okay, so that was a shock for us. We were a bunch of kids trying to create history, and we realized that the large companies which we thought were elephants, they don't move and all that, had moved and beat us at it. So what happens after that? We did a project which was related to holographic technology. The hologram that you see on small scales, the Pokemon changing and all that, that technology comes from the 1940s. One guy created that. And then it did not really take off until the 1970s when the laser was created. Now what we tried to do was something like that. That is not what we have done, but something like that where we had a holographic projection of a tool which anybody can see from all around. So we were imagining very soon in 6 months or 1 year we are going to have, I will be standing here on stage, but my holographic image will be there across the country, across the world, and everybody will be watching me. I am on center stage kind of a thing. Obviously, nothing like that happened for many reasons. Meanwhile, there was something like this coming up all over computer screens. What is this? Java. See, the beauty of this logo, and of course, Gosling was the guy who wrote this. The beauty of this logo and the entire language ecosystem is that it is still active, and it is still one of the foundation stones of all that we are doing today. Java happened about 20 years back, and the stories which were going on at that time was that Java will get into your refrigerator, Java will get into your AC, and refrigerator will tell when the milk is over and it sends a message to, familiar, right? Even now we have the same talk going on, right? So that was what was going on, and we started working on that, built some web development applications, devices. And then there was a technology called RFID, right? Even now, how many of you heard of RFID? Radio frequency identification tags. Okay. So RFID, before RFID, there was something called an I button. And we used to use this as a lock, open, close lock for our office door. Sometimes it failed and we were locked out. But yeah, we still did that, and we could actually track, put a graph on it, and we were very excited about that. But by the way, these are not technologies which are dead. Even now, if you go into ibutton.com, it is taken over by some company, but it is still alive, and people are using it. One of the most important steps that happened during that time was that around 2000, in MIT, everybody knows MIT now, right? In MIT, something called a Auto ID lab was started. If you want to feel proud about it, it was started by an Indian. And that guy basically said that I am not going to just put a strip of radio frequency and identify the movement of some objects. I'm going to put a auto identification technology into every product in the world. And he created something called a physical markup language, PML, and an electronic product code, EPC, to be able to track every object on the globe. It was a very ambitious project, needed lots of funding, and when I communicated with them, they immediately sent the brochures, and they had a huge community building up. Some of the technologies which you see now started off somewhere here. On the left, how many people recognize or know or have seen the device on the left? It's called a Palm Pilot. Has anybody seen a Palm Pilot here? Have you seen a Palm Pilot? I saw a couple of hands get up, so go up, so I was surprised. Because Palm Pilot was there, it got developed in around 97, and it was a craze at that time. It was a touch screen. With a stylus, you can touch the screen. It used to be dull, so it used to be good for the eyes. And there were some apps, there was a community, and all that was built around the Palm system. It was pretty good. There was a handwriting recognition thing in the center down, you see. If you write something, it will recognize, so you need not really type everything. You can just write, and then in 2000, the other device came up. It looks somewhat like a cell phone, right? It had no cell phone in it. I mean, it had no phone technology in it. It was something called a PDA at that time. Both these are called PDAs, personal digital assistants they were called. And the other one is from a company called Compaq, and the model was called iPAQ. iPAQ, P-A-Q, okay? No, iPhone, iPod, no. iPAQ is from HP, actually Hewlett-Packard. HP bought the company Compaq. So these were the devices in 2000 that I picked up, and we made some applications. It was a touch screen. Made some applications, started building it, and we had to choose. This was a big war at that time, something like a Coke-Pepsi war. Big war. And then we chose the Compaq technology. There is a Windows operating system there. Initially, it was called Pocket PC. And we started building applications. We really hit a gold mine there. We made some applications for healthcare, and they really took off in the US. Surprisingly, the iPAQ technology, which we thought was, earth-shattering technology, the only connectivity possible, wireless connectivity possible, was Bluetooth. There was no Wi-Fi at that time. Okay, 802.11 standards were still being built. So the way I had to connect an iPAQ to the PC is through a USB cable, and then not just connect, but I have to open this something called an active sync and run it. And then only then it syncs. But can you believe we use this in hospitals to do critical data collection exercises, build beautiful apps, and ran it. Now the idea of apps started from there. This was the AOL Instant Messenger, which came up way before, along with AOL, which I showed you the dial-up screen. Now this had, if you observe, this had a chat window, individual, which had all the icons that you are talking about now. It has groups, lists, you can have group discussions there, you can put links, everything. So what changed? Has anything changed from the time to now? What do you think has changed from that time to now? And talking about handheld devices, some people still recognize the one which is here, right? The leftmost one. Which model is that? Nokia, right? Nokia, some model. This is more latest model. By the way, anybody knows when Nokia started as a company? Don't Google it now, but generally. What do you think? Which year do you think it started? So somebody did Google it. It's 1860s. 1860s is when Nokia started. Obviously, they were not doing this, what they were doing, till they died. But so the Nokia phones took the world by storm. And, we had management case studies where we said the Nokia phone has basically eliminated, that is the biggest phone company, but it has also become the biggest camera company, because Nokia had the first camera on its cell phone, and it kind of defeated, it took over the market share of Canon and all the other camera companies. So it became the biggest camera company. And the next models which came way, way later. The middle set of objects that I show, those are the music things, right? The iPod, different versions. And of course, the last one is the iPhone itself. Can you believe what is the memory we were talking about on the compact iPack that I showed you? The RAM. This is like 2 GB, 4 GB, right? The iPods. The memory on the compact iPack I showed you, the highest memory was 256 MB. Seriously, 256 MB. And we ran enterprise applications on it. If I go from hardware to internet, and obviously you can't do a lesson on history of the internet and all that, but just to show where we stand and how confusing it is here, this is the social media timeline. Facebook obviously is not a pioneer, neither is Google+. Google+ is the last one. There were several players in the social media pipeline, and the only ones you recognize are probably those 4 or 5 that you see now. In fact, again, like I said, for the other technologies, this also, most of these still exist. Okay, and they have their own small little groups running it. So I showed you the instant messenger, I showed you the auto ID technologies, I said everything. The auto ID technology, by the way, is the precursor for the Internet of Things that you call it now and get very excited about. The IoT started during those discussions. So is the present just a better, faster, bigger, easier past? Is that what it is? So there is nothing new about this. What has changed is the back end. The devices have changed. There's something called cloud which came up. There are database changes. The way databases are designed has changed from SQL to NoSQL, and there are some solid principles of object-oriented design. All that has changed, but the applications, surprisingly, have not really changed much. And why? The secret is the human needs still remain the same. The instant messenger caters to the need to communicate with others. The technology of auto ID is the need for tracking goods, products all around you. So it's the same need which continues, but the technology backend changes, and hence we have a better, faster, easier, bigger present. So what do? I don't want to talk about the present, because the present is what you have already. You are probably the experts in how to run those devices, what to do. There are several revolutions which happened. So what happens is when we start looking at the future. These two quotes are some of my favorites. These are two of my favorites. In 1946, the chief of 20th Century Fox said, television won't be able to hold any market because it is a useless thing. It will hold your attention for some time and you're done. You'll get up and go away. What a prediction, right? Awesome prediction. And at the same time, a very enthusiastic entrepreneur who was selling vacuum cleaners, he created vacuum cleaners and he was selling them, and he said nuclear powered vacuum cleaners will be there. They'll come now. Nuclear powered. So you see the extremities of predicting the future? It doesn't really work. So what is coming? Now if I look at technology, I showed you a ghost picture and you're all scared now. Now the technology, if you see, is moving towards creating another human being. So you want your machine to do all the simple tasks to begin with, and then you want them to do all the intelligent tasks, and then you want it to teach other machines how to do those intelligent tasks, right? After that, you don't really need the human being, right? If a machine can create a machine which can act logically, then you're done with. You don't really need human beings to do any of the mundane tasks. This concept of singularity is what I would want you to go and look it up. I know it is very difficult for you guys to perceive it right away because this is not taught in any academics. This is not discussed in colleges or universities. But this is a concept that you should look at, and and you should follow the guy called Ray Kurzweil, who actually put up this concept. So what do we do with the future? The best way to predict the future is to create it. Now my job is over, because my job of creating whatever I have done is done. Now you guys have to create. So when we say create, what is Flipkart? Is it a copy or is it a creation? There are small features inside it which are created locally, but the idea itself is a copy, right? But is it not successful? Is it not useful? Is it not executed beautifully? So is it always true that when we say copy is, somebody says copy or create, immediately create? No copy, no copy. No. I didn't copy in my engineering also. There is a value to both of them. And we will see why there is a value to both. Do you want to improve a little bit or do you want to innovate? Now you don't want to answer it. Like I said, yes, both are important. But then, what is innovation? What Facebook has done differently from all the other guys who have come before? Any ideas on what Facebook has done differently? And by the way, all the others which have come before survived for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then died. And Facebook is going on and on for more than 10, 15 years. It will go on also. They have been changing their business model, continuously changing their logo also continuously, without us realizing it, and staying. So there are different choices that you need to make: change or disrupt, short term or long term, data collection or application, observation or prediction. Now, most of the startups are going out saying, I am going to change the world, I am going to disrupt the industry. So let's see how we can do it. How many of you here are student entrepreneurs? Anybody? How many of you want to become entrepreneurs, start something of your own? So you will have an idea, right? You will have an idea, you want to start it off, and you believe in your idea, right? So what is that? I'm a fan of Mahesh Babu, by the way. So Mahesh Babu said in some movie, I think it's Businessman, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He said, Andaru anukune abadhaniki nenu, what is that? Andaru anukune abadhaniki nenu namme nijaniki. Somebody is prompting me here. Thank you. Nenu namme nijam vaipu నిజానికి దగ్గరగా వెళ్తున్నాను. That is, I would summarize that as the entrepreneur's statement. Everybody is feeling, he's an idiot, that won't succeed, it won't happen. And then we are saying, no, I'll make it happen, I'll make it happen. So that is probably a statement for entrepreneurs, who are looking to succeed in this world. But then I have a small problem here. Whenever this word believe comes, right? Believe in yourself, believe in that, believe in your passion, all that, I have a small problem here. Do you believe that human beings exist? Do you believe? You believe? Do you have to believe? You know, right? So when you say, I believe in something, I spot some doubt there, which is a killer. I mean, killer in both ways. Whenever somebody says, I believe in my idea, I say, okay, so you see a possibility that it won't succeed, right? So it is good to have belief, by the way. It is good to have belief, not just because you want to pep yourself up and say, my idea is the best idea in the world. No. It is because you have that doubt, and hence it will lead you to action to close that doubt. The other word I have a problem with is try. I am just trying something. Okay? So I need a volunteer here. Can somebody come? Anybody? One of you? Yeah, come on. Quickly. So I this word try, right, has a different connotation. Now I want her to try lifting this bottle. Can you try lifting this bottle? No. Try lifting this bottle. Yeah, please. Try, na. You should try again, and then you will succeed. No? You can't try? You should try. Your dad and mom don't tell you, keep trying. See the problem? You just lift it. That means you take action. You can't say, I will try to do something. No. What are you trying? Trying it doesn't exist. What are you doing? Right? Don't say, I will try and create a company. What are the actions you want to take to create that company? Thank you. Try and go safely. So, your language is important here. Whenever next time you say, I believe in something, remember to question that doubt which is coming out behind that statement. I believe in it, and I know there is a small possibility of failure here. I will question that and solve that problem and move forward. And I will not try, I will act. A brief concept about how you should approach what you know. Now there is a whole lot of things in the world, and I look at it like this. When you are creating something, there is a green circle which says, I hope you can read it, which says I know. So that is the small area that you know these things. You know that you know these things. You learned some subjects, you passed in them, you know some of that knowledge. And then you have a big circle which you know that you don't know. I mean, you have already chosen whatever previous year's question papers and learned those answers, right? But you know that the rest of the chapter you don't know, right? Or you could say, I know that there is a language called French, Spanish and all that, but I don't know how to speak. So you know that you don't know. And then there is a huge area which basically is you don't even know that you don't know. Can you give me an example, anybody, of that area? Something that you don't know that you don't know? Sorry? Blind area. You can't, right? You don't know that it exists or doesn't exist. And then how I look at the world is that when I am starting something, an entrepreneur, talking to somebody, my interactions go with that person who is in the same field and who is basically in the same situation, that he or she knows something. They know that they know it. They also know that they don't know a lot of things. But there is a huge area that they have no clue about. Now my interactions happen here. As an entrepreneur, I want you to delve into this a little bit more with your friends. There is an area of overlap where I know and my customer knows. The customer knows what he or she wants, and I know exactly what to do to satisfy that need. Very easy, lot of competition, copy, make it happen, get aggressive marketing, do it, right? That area. Amazon has already created a market all over the world. People here have gone to the US and come back. They know what is Amazon. They have the need. I create Flipkart, huge interaction, aggressive marketing, I'll become big. And the same thing, same story in China, whatever. And then there are areas where I have expertise. The customer knows that he doesn't have that expertise, right? So we have some good technologies happening in India. Some people come over from the US and say, okay, you guys are good at creating code factories. So we will outsource that to you and you get it done. Right? So that is my strength, and the customer has a need for it, he doesn't know how to do it. I take it from their services. Some products also come out of it, but then there is a huge area which the customer has no clue that it exists also. He doesn't even know that they have that need. And when that is tapped, if it falls into the area of where I know that, you have a gold mine there. Before Facebook came up, or before any of the social networks came up, nobody really thought I would want to go ahead and put pictures of my dog all over the web and say, so cute. I mean, I would say, that's so funny. Why would I do that? Right? How many of you have a Facebook account here? Stupid question. Okay. How many of you don't have a Facebook account here? Oh, awesome. Okay. How many of you will never, of these people who have raised the hands, please keep your hands raised. How many of you will continue to not have a Facebook account for the next few years? Please keep your hands raised. Others? Keep your hands raised if you don't want, if you are very determined not to have a Facebook account for the next few years. Okay. Please note down these people's names, no? Because, okay, when we did this about 5 years back in a much elderly crowd, professionals, working professionals, at least in a crowd of about 300, at least 50 or 60 hands went up saying, we do not have a Facebook account and we will not have a Facebook account. That was a company related thing. And next year itself we had all the hands down. Okay. Now the reason is of obviously the business model, the network effect and all that, right? The beautiful part is that these guys don't know that they need Facebook. They are a huge market for Facebook. Similarly, for your ideas, whatever your expertise is, find customers who have no clue that they need it. And normally that's a huge customer base. And that's a winner. So within your classrooms, discussions, MBA, whatever, friends, discuss this, see what your strengths are, and see where you can fit into this diagram. Now, for whom do I build? There are two pyramids that I'll come up with. This is called the Maslow's theory of needs, which basically says first you need food to eat, water to drink, and only then you can think about, safety. Then you think about, all the romantic movies which happen. Actually, you see, previously all the movies, Bollywood movies, were about roti, kapda, or makan, all that, sad sagas going on. Why? Because the entire country was in that mode. And then after prosperity comes in, which means the lower thing is taken care of, all the physical needs are taken care of, what happens? Love, romance. Salman Khan came up with all those movies to begin with. So before that, if you had put a romantic movie into the society just for the sake of romance, it will flop because the people are not there yet. So this hierarchy of needs is there where, you basically target your thing to a certain level in the pyramid. Now there is another pyramid which again is the economic pyramid, which basically says the bottom of the pyramid is the poor people, which is also the maximum number all over the world, not just India. There are emerging markets in the middle, and there are those really super rich people who will pay anything if you give them something valuable to them, but there are very few, so you price them high. Now you combine these two and create your target market. In India, what do you want to do? So actually the saying goes like this: if you want to know about the future, ask your children. Okay, they know what it will be. So instead I thought it's better to ask you guys, what do you think is going to be the future? So I will ask a few questions and you can raise your hands. Is there going to be, the mobile phone, is it going to get smaller or bigger? Okay, smaller, please raise your hands. Okay. Is the mobile phone going to exist after 10 years? How many people want to say no? How many people want to say yes? The others are grabbing their phone and I'm not going to take it. I'm just asking a question here. Huh? So there is an equal number, which is beautiful. Now, how many of you think there is going to be Facebook after 10 years? In the same form? Yes? Yes, please raise your hands. Okay. How many of your, in your house, how many of you will have a car that you own after 10 years? My thing is, I think you will all be disappointed. If not 10 years, maybe 15 years down the line, I don't see any point owning a car. Why would you want to own a car? You just need to have to go from one place to the other, right? That's all. Tell it and somebody will come, take you and go. And probably the driver also won't be there to annoy you looking at the rear view mirror all the time. So this is for the girls, obviously. So, how is the future going to change is all up to our imagination. But then what do we do is our choice. There are several things that we can do here in terms of the industries available here. Agriculture, the Internet of Things that I was talking about, we actually had the drone going and taking these videos of marriages and these seminars and all, right? But there are drones which are going around in agricultural fields now, taking images of the earth, the level at which the earth goes up and down, ensuring water is available to those fields. And that is not being done by some American company or even Israeli company. It is being done by Indian companies, and there are companies which are doing it in AP and Telangana too. There are several revolutions happening in the education sector and manufacturing sector, and most importantly, there is happening a revolution in healthcare. Devices are not going to be any more personal devices, that's my guess. 15 years, there is no point in having personal devices at all. Think beyond device, beyond dependent technology, which means the technology is dependent on you to give inputs to work. That is not going to be there anymore because they are collecting all the data that they need to understand how you behave, and it's going to be automatic. And beyond economic constraints, at this age, I would not even bother to say who's going to buy my product. Don't bother. Make the product, understand the need, and what has to happen will happen later on. Some of the Indian innovators I wanted to close with. Abhijit Joshi, you should read about these guys. I'll share the presentation on Engineers Hub. Abhijit Joshi, he created a very minute sensor which goes into your body, keeps checking for diabetes. And that is a boon to diabetes patients. And that is going to extend to other lifestyle diseases. The Haptic shoe is for blind people. It is a normal shoe but with a sole which vibrates to tell the individual whether to move forward or to move side. So if it vibrates near the toes, the guy can walk forward. If it vibrates on the left side, he can move left side and move forward. And it is actually running, recognized all over the world. And there are several other guys. By the way, Hemant is supposed to be one of the speakers. You should check out his company. If he's in the country, he will come over and speak. So check out these companies. These are all Indians, some of them in Hyderabad. Listen to these people in the presentations which are coming. And then go back and create your own future. There are some challenges I would want to throw. This is my general thing that I end with always. These are 4 challenges I want to go, give you. Anybody who comes up with any innovative ideas in these 4 areas, I am ready to fund them. So if you want to look at the slum dwellers, create technologies which will make them more independent, more developed. You design applications for people. There is a huge flux of people moving from towns and villages to cities, and they have special needs. For those, education apps and a sensor-based crop management system. If anybody can come up with any idea related to these fields, please talk to me. Thank you very much. Looking forward to have more interactions on the Engineers Hub. Thank you.